Welcome back, Burnout teachers. Today's lesson will be about how to teach the geography of Palestine. Why are we presented these maps that do not give agency to Palestinians or even the land of Palestine? Throughout this video, I will be referencing a book called The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine by Ilan Pappé. He shows the Zionist plan to destroy Palestinian villages and ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people. There was a systematic plan to take Palestinian land away from Palestinians and to attempt to erase the history of Palestinians and their indigenous roots on this land. This effort was so embedded in historiography and cartography. Initially, the Jews, who owned less than 6% of the total land area of Palestine and constituted no more than 1/3 of the population, were handed more than half of its overall territory. I think when teaching about the geography of Palestine, it's a very important lesson to teach your students about the ways in which historiography, cartography, geography, and many other elements of history can be reconstructed to fit a certain political agenda.
They kicked us about 2,000 years ago, and we came back. We have Jerusalem. We built every stone here. Every stone, 3,000 years ago.
If you look back at the history, the areas, these places are like really rightfully ours.
I think that they should actually look at a history book and look at the progression of history and who occupied Israel.
Where are the Palestinian people during 4,000 years under the Ottoman?
So what is the real story of Palestinian geography? This necklace that I am wearing is the map of Palestine, and a lot of Palestinians wear this to really show what the original Palestinian land was and that we are aspiring for the right of return to this Palestinian land. It actually has all the original cities also written on it, and it's something that's very important as a sense of pride for a lot of Palestinians to wear because it represents our plight, and it also is an attempt to really show how our history is being erased. Half of the indigenous people living in Palestine were driven out. Half of their villages and towns were destroyed, and only very few among them ever managed to return. And yet there is no denying that the ethnic cleansing of 1948 has been eradicated almost totally from the collective global memory and erased from the world's conscious. There are so many projects of Palestinians living in Palestine and in the diaspora to rebuild the Palestinian villages that were destroyed. So people are compiling different elements of their own family history and also through using archives to then reconstruct these villages and create designs for when there is a free Palestine, one democratic secular state. These Palestinians can lead the effort to really rebuild these villages that have been destroyed.
We try to design this area to be as close as possible to how it originally was. Of course, we don't know exactly how it was because it's all destroyed now, but we tried to, from satellite images that were previous to what happened.
This really just shows how powerful cartography and geography and these maps are, because if our countries are not represented on it, other students in our classroom and in our schools will also not learn about these countries and therefore believe that these countries do not exist. Imagine that not so long ago, in any given country you are familiar with, half of the entire population had been forcibly expelled within a year. Half of its villages and towns wiped out, leaving behind only rubbles and stones. Imagine now the possibility that somehow this act will never make it into the history books and that all diplomatic efforts to solve the conflict that erupted in that country really sideline, if not ignore, this catastrophic event. This bias against Palestine is so inherent in American education that it's really important that us as teachers educate ourselves, reading various works about Palestinian history to really uncover some of the ways that this history has been completely buried. And we really don't want to continue teaching a false history about Palestine to our students.